Alright guys, I am the NFL Addict, and today I will be making my record predictions for the 2021 Chicago Bears. 2021 guys, not 2022, 2023. I get so many people watching my 2019 predictions and thinking this for this year. No, this is for 2021. So if you're in the future, this is not the video for you. Make sure you like and subscribe. I've already done all the AFC teams and the Packers, and now let's get started talking about the Bears. The Bears, obviously, the biggest move they did all offseason, the one that will probably be remembered for a while, is the Justin Fields drafting. I mean, that was probably that's probably gonna be the highlight of that whole draft. Maybe there'll be a couple oh, this star player was drafted in the 7th round of the 2021 draft. But the Justin Fields move was insane, especially if he ends up becoming a star. That'll be infamous. But if you don't know, they traded up from 20th to 11th, and they got Justin Fields, which was an amazing move. And I know right now Andy Dalton is their starter, but I think Justin Fields will start most of their games. And this is one of the rare teams that I will be predicting a quarterback change. Most of the time, I'll be like, all right, technically, they do still have a rookie quarterback sitting behind this quarterback, but I'm not going to predict anything like that. But this is one of those teams that I am almost 100% sure that Andy Dalton is not going to be starting most of their games just because of how bad he is. I think that he's only starting because he came out and said the only reason he signed with him was because they told him he would start. And also, the only other really big move they made was that they dropped Kyle Fuller. So, yeah, that's not that good of news. But they also franchise tagged Allen Robinson and got their offense back up to. I mean, I think their offense is pretty good now. Their offense was terrible, but I think, getting a new, young, pretty good quarterback. He was my QB2 of the draft. I don't know how he dropped as far down as he did out of the top 10. That was kind of insane to me. And yeah, that defense got a bit worse because Kyle Fuller was a great safety, and the fact that they released him to sign Andy Dalton was kind of sad because I don't think that they knew that they'd be getting Justin Fields. I think that they probably thought that they weren't going to get a quarterback that good in the draft. But let's go ahead and get started. In week 1, you have the Bears with Andy Dalton. And by the way, with Andy Dalton, I think they'll be worse than they were last year. But with Justin Fields, I think they'll be a bit better, if not way better, because I think that he will be really good, much better than Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky even came close to being. Anyway, so an away game to start off the season against the Rams, who got Deshaun Jackson, got an upgraded quarterback, really just had an amazing offseason. I think the Rams are ready to I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams win multiple playoff games this year. I think that they are ready to compete in the NFC West and compete in this NFC as a whole. And I don't know if the Bears are ready to compete with that, especially in week 1 with Andy Dalton. It's not going to be great. But now they have their first home game against the Bengals. And the Bengals, they passed up on Penei Sewell, but in doing that, they got Jamar Chase. And they have not one of the best, but they have a very, very good wide receiver core in T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and now Jamar Chase. Those three are going to be monstrous, especially Joe Burrow coming back from an injury. This is going to be a pretty good one. However, Chicago has a really good defense. It's weakened because of that Kyle Fuller, release or cut, whatever you want to call it, but that doesn't make it bad. So I think that, honestly, I like the Chicago Bears offense better than this Bengals defense, and I think that Chicago, with Andy Dalton, will get the win in week 2 at home over the Bengals. So now, I mean, they're 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised if this is close, okay? But with Andy Dalton, whatever. But then in week 3, they have another away game against the Cleveland Browns. And, this one is going to be tough because the Browns are probably a lot better than even the Rams. They have such a good offense and they have such a good defense. And, I mean, they even made that a lot better this off-season by ramping up that secondary. They kind of them and the freaking Broncos completely revamped their secondaries. I mean, the Browns completely astonished me because I thought they were going to kind of coast through. I didn't expect to see any big moves coming from Cleveland, and then no, they got John Johnson and a couple other pieces. It was nice to see them. I always like to see a good team go out and get even better. Yeah, I like to see teams get better unless they're a team I don't like. All right, but now he's gone 1-2. He's probably got blown out in these two, and this one's a close one. So I think, and hey, you can get mad at me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that at the end of week 3, if this is the way it goes, Justin Fields will be put in as a starter. If not here, then probably, I don't know, at the bye week. So it's either in week 4 or the bye week. That's my predictions, and I think it's going to happen in week 4. All right, so I think Andy Dalton starts 3 games. It's going to be the same kind of situation that Mitchell Trubisky was in last year, wherever, I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, he was undefeated, and then he had one bad half, and then they benched him for like the next 10 games. It was kind of astonishing. I don't like Mitchell Trubisky, but that was kind of dumb on the Bears' part. But in week 4 at home against the Lions, who just got worse this offseason, really. Oh, other than the Penei Sewell signing. That Penei Sewell signing was amazing. Not signing, drafting. The fact that they went out and, I mean, that was nice. I know that was really, it was an obvious move, but still, getting him on their team, they probably didn't expect to get him, but they did. So, yeah. However, nothing else has gone great. They lost Kenny Golladay. They took a downgrade to QB. They did get some extra picks, but I would take Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff 100% of the time on any team. So I'm going to give, I think, this will be a pretty close one, I think, because I do like that Detroit. Obviously, that offensive line just got a lot better with Penei Sewell, and also that defense isn't that bad either. So I could see them splitting, and since Chicago was at home here, that's just how I do things. If I have a team splitting, then they win the home games. Okay, so Detroit will probably win this one, but hey, don't get mad at me, Bears fan, because Justin Fields is now undefeated in his NFL career. In week 5, they have an away game, Justin Fields' first away game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Still weird to say even after a year. And the Raiders, that defense is just not any good. And going up against a tough Chicago Bears defense, I don't know if their offense will be able to do enough. I'm going to give the Bears another win here in week 5. And, they jump up to 3-2. Now Justin Fields has gone out there because I think he'll play pretty good. I think, he'll be around Joe. Did I call him Joe Herbert earlier? Whatever the heck. I can't think of his name. Whatever. I think he'll be a pretty good rookie. I can't think of the freaking Bengals quarterback's name, but he'll be around that. And then week 6, they have a home game against the Packers, and this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be, because right now in week 4 and 5, I mean, they'd probably win in week 4 even with Andy Dalton, and week 5 would probably still be a close one that they could win even with Andy Dalton. But in week 6, now is a pretty big challenge, because even without Aaron Rodgers, that offense is still going to be lethal. That defense, maybe not so much. That defense isn't great. Maybe if some young guys can pick up some slack, then they could possibly get some stuff done. But really, it's going to be all about it's going to be, a battle of the offenses, I feel. This could be a kind of high-scoring game. And by high-scoring, I mean like in the 30s, not in the 50s or whatever. And I think these two teams, I think it'll be a close one. So therefore, anytime there's a close divisional game, you know what I say, I'm going to split them. So in week 6, Chicago is going to win. In week 14, Green Bay is going to win. And the reason I'm not already picking those is because I like to do it kind of like a narrative. I wouldn't want to say, they're 4-4 in week 7. Like, no. But in week 7 now, he has an away game against the reigning Super Bowl champions. And, last year they went out and they upset them. I don't think they can do it again this year. I think last year they got really lucky. I think that Tom Brady had a rough game. And if Tom Brady has a rough game, then the Bucs could lose to anybody. The Bucs could go out against the Jaguars and have a rough game, and Tom Brady could, have a rough game, and they would completely flop. So, all right, Tampa Bay gets another win here in week 7. So now they're 4-3. They still got a winning record. 2 weeks away is that bye week. But in week 8, a home game against I'm pretty sure completely healthy San Francisco. And if you're wondering, I think Jimmy G will start all 18 games. That's just one of those teams where I'm not going to say, Trey Lance is going to start here. I don't see it happening. I think Jimmy G is good enough to keep his job. And I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think the 49ers will be very good with him. Anyways, this will be a really tough challenge for Chicago. And, seeing as how good that offense is, I think that San Francisco offense is better than that Chicago defense. And I don't know if that Chicago offense is good enough to keep pace. So I'm going to give San Francisco the win here. And now they fall back to .500 before a tough away game against Pittsburgh and then their bye week. Pittsburgh still has such a good defense. Even losing Bud Dupree and even with, the pretty bad offensive line they've got, they are still a pretty good team. And that defense especially is astounding. And Big Ben, he still got some stuff in him. He wasn't horrible last year. They had a pretty easy schedule last year, but you can't ignore 11-0. You can't act like 11-0 didn't happen. And I did lose to the Washington football team last year, but we don't talk about that if you're a Pittsburgh fan. I'm not, okay, but whatever. Anyways, I'm going to give Pittsburgh the win here. That defense is just so good. I don't know if a rookie going up against that defense is going to have a good time. All right, now they have another tough game, a home game against Baltimore. Baltimore has such a good offense, and a lot of people are starting to. They're starting to slowly slide into the underrated category, but no. Listen here, folks. They have a really good offense. Sammy Watkins, the rookie they got. I mean, freaking Lamar Jackson is being completely forgotten about his running ability. He can run up against any defensive line with any offensive line on his side, and he can just take off and go. So I'm going to give Baltimore the win here. Not to mention how good that defense is. I mean, it's pretty astounding. Like I already said, split here. So now they've gone from 4-3 to 4-7, and it is not looking good. I mean, they've got a rematch against Green Bay. They've got a tough game against. I mean, the end of their schedule is so tough. I mean, it's gonna be really, really rough. But a home game against Arizona. This one, I don't remember if they played last year or not, but they were in this. I don't remember if this. I'm not even gonna say that. I think they played last year, like at a really important part in the season, but I'm not entirely sure. But a home game against Arizona, and Arizona has a pretty great offense. And the only bad thing about Arizona, or a big gaping hole, is that defense. J.J. Watt, and then nobody. Oh yeah, and Budda Baker. So they've got J.J. Watt in that front seven. They've got Budda Baker in the secondary, and then it's nobody for the rest of there. So I think this one could be a pretty close one, and I would hate to do it to them, but I'm going to give Chicago another loss. They're 4-8 now. Things are kind of falling apart. They're on a 6-game losing streak. Andy Dalton's probably already warming up. They're taking the split here, like I already said. Hey, don't get mad at me for that. There's no way y'all sweep Green Bay. I'm sorry. Then they have a home game against Chicago. And then they have a home game against Minnesota. And this is a chance for them to kind of take a rebound because they're 4-9, but they're not out of it yet. With the extra game, 8-9 is not, bad. I think 8-9 is kind of going to be the new 8-8. I don't know. It's weird. Because whenever I don't want to like go too far off topic, but whenever I used to think about like 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, there's like a type of team. There's like a type of team that I imagine getting that. But now that we've switched it up, like 7-10, I don't know what to think. Because like 6-10 is bad. Below that is pretty bad. And then like whatever. I started to rant there. Anyways. I'm probably going to have them split with Minnesota, so they get a win here in Week 15. I don't mean that I feel really bad saying splits, but I mean, it takes a lot to sweep a team. I mean, you have to be a lot better than another team to sweep them. In Week 16, an away game against Seattle. I'm sorry, but Seattle, that offense is just so good. They've been legendary for so long. That linebacker unit is amazing. Seattle gets the win here. Now they have a home game against the Giants. And the Giants, that defense is so good. It especially showed up late last season. And that offense with Kenny Golladay and Kyle Rudolph is going to be so explosive. This one's going to be a close one. Well, not, completely close. Maybe a one-point game. I could see it being, 30-22 or something like that. And so, yeah. I feel rough making them 5-12. But let's just be honest. If they keep okay, let me just go ahead and go through this. So, if they keep Justin Fields in all year, I think it'll be the same. I think if they start Justin Fields in Week 1, they're gonna go 5-12. If they start Andy Dalton though, they're gonna get swept by Green Bay, and that's about it. So, you know what? They're gonna get swept by Minnesota too. And again, this is with Andy Dalton. So don't get too mad at me. I like Justin Fields. I think with Justin Fields, they get 2 extra wins in Week 6 and Week 15. They get to split with Minnesota and Green Bay instead of getting swept. Now let's do worst case and best case scenario. I forgot to mention I'm going to do that, so a lot of people probably already left thinking I'm done. I just got 2 extra minutes of me talking at the end. But worst case scenario, let's go ahead and go through. I don't think they get swept here. Obviously, he gets swept here. Come on, there we go. And then they can get swept here. So worst case scenario is the exact same thing as Andy Dalton starting all year. You know what? I don't think I can change that. I don't think I can change that. That's going to stay the same. So 3-14 is worst case scenario. And so basically, Andy Dalton starting all 18 games is worst case scenario. Last year, Andy Dalton did not have a single good game at all. At the end of the season, when they started picking up speed and they got right back into that NFC East race for like 2 or 3 weeks there, it was because Zeke started playing good. It was because Zeke figured things out. He had a terrible offensive line, and he had to get back into the groove of not having a quarterback. Can that switch over, please? I need to do best case scenario here. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right, best case scenario. They can get the. No, I can't. I can't see that happening. I'm sorry. I like that defense in Pittsburgh too much. They could sweep Detroit pretty easily. They could win here. This is a win possibly, and that's a win. And that puts them in the playoffs right now. After I've done 2 of these teams, I'm sitting here thinking 9-8 just doesn't seem right. 9-8 was what I was kind of thinking I was going to end up having their normal record being, but these 2 are probably the ones that I keep on looking over here. I know you can't see my eyes, but I'm just looking at these 2 games. I'm trying to convince myself, can I change one of these? And no, I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't. I like both of these teams too much to say they could lose to the Bears. And yeah, let me flip these back. So their range is from 3-14 to 9-8. Best case scenario is Justin Fields goes out there. He starts in week 4, not in week 10. Oh yeah, by the way, if you couldn't do the math, if he starts in week 10, then they lose to Green Bay and they're 4-13. All right. Now let's put these back. There. And there's one more. There. Nope. There we go. Back to 5-12. So yeah, sorry about that. If you don't like me, and I'm sure you don't if you're a Bears fan and you think that y'all are gonna go 11-6 or better, let me know in the comments. Don't just dislike it and run. Let me know. Go on there and tell me, oh hey, I actually think that Justin Fields is gonna be the best rookie quarterback in all of football ever. Like he's gonna go 17-0. They're gonna start him in week 1 because he's gonna go out in preseason and throw 100-yard bombs for every single play, and they're gonna win by 100 in preseason. But yeah, and also watch my Lions video. If you don't like me for this, then go watch my Lions video. Okay, just ignore Whoa, I got that mixed up. There we go. I got those 2 games mixed up. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one when I will be talking about the Minnesota Vikings. But until then, goodbye.